Life's the battlefield and we ain't feeling weak. From love to the game and the power we seek. Our voice is strong, breaking every peak. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Talk of love and battle scars, everything that's real. From touchdown to sermon, you know the deal. Strength in every word we begin to reveal. Truth in every tale as our lives we unveil. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day. Guys Night Podcast, let's ride the wave. Politics and prayers, ain't no subject we shun. Keep it real, keep it raw till the battle's won. Fitness, tricks to faith, every topic under the sun. With honor and valor, every man's battle begun. Warriors with word swords through the air. Every point sharp and every talk fair. Knights at the round table, come and pull up a chair. Join the brotherhood, words laid bare. Protect and provide, we're knights in the fray. Nothing off limits, we got something to say. Life and love, fitness and fight all day.
Greetings, everybody. Welcome to the Guys Night Podcast. We took about a 2-week break, but we are back and better than ever. Tonight, we're fortunate enough to have local Air Force recruiter, Staff Sergeant. Is it Staff Sergeant in the Air Force still? Yes.
Sergeant, yeah.
Hamblin joining us from the Medina recruiting office. So if you're somebody that's out there looking for questions to be answered, you know, what it takes to join the military right now, what does the process look like? And then if you're also somebody that's on that military side of things and you're looking for a future or a career in recruiting, kind of give you an insights step on what that looks like. Obviously, the world of events changes daily in the United States, and that obviously affects every aspect of recruiting as well. So should have an interesting conversation. And to introduce him, welcome aboard, sir.
Yep. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited. And then, of course, Evan, how you doing, brother?
I'm doing great. Not as sore as you, though. Not as sore as you.
Yeah, it's, you know what? The summer is winding down, so you got to enjoy every minute of outside.
Very true. Well, I couldn't believe I was going to some of these stores these past weekends. Halloween stuff is already coming up.
Is it really?
Yes. And I'm like, what the fuck? It's not even, like, literally, it's not, the summer's not over yet. It's not even September.
I feel like it's over now, and this is actually I don't know if you remember. So for us, I felt like back to school was like the week before Labor Day, right? Like the last weekend of August, but we didn't get out until like June 8th or 9th. Until you're a senior, then you got out 2 weeks early. Was it like that for you guys too?
No, we usually started around mid-August.
Did you mid-August?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's terrible. Like I was like, man, especially this year, it rained all June in Ohio. So like, I feel like summer didn't even start until like the week before July 4th.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
But
In Kentucky, we get snow days built in, so we would start mid-August, but still get out in like early June just because of the snow days and whatnot.
yeah, you get that many of them down there.
Yep.
What part of Kentucky you originate from?
Place called Irvin. It's about 45 minutes southeast of Lexington.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. I know I've been trying to get a hold of you for a while.
That's my bad.
No, that's okay. I've actually tried to do the same with the Army and Marine recruiters as well. But I'm glad that you stepped up and you're willing to come on because I think there's a lot of questions on there. So let's just first hear about your career journey in the Air Force. So you and I talked a little bit before the show. 11 years in right now, or 9 years in right now, and 2 years into your recruiting stint, right? Of 4 years. So let's go back 9 years ago to a young Josh Hamblin and what that process looked like. What made you decide the Air Force was for you?
So to start, we had to go back farther than that. So coming out of high school, I went and did Air Force ROTC at University of Kentucky, but I only did that for a semester, and then I transferred closer to home to Eastern Kentucky and stopped doing the ROTC thing. But once I graduated, I had my bachelor's degree, but no place wanted to hire me. I didn't have any experience. So, everybody says get your degree, but then they're like, that's cute. You know how to do anything?
That's cute. Do you put that on your bedroom wall at home?
So after that, my mind went back to the Air Force thing, and I went and talked to a recruiter. And then
so let me go back. You went through ROTC with college.
Yeah, just for a semester, though.
Just for a semester of it.
Yep.
Was there what led you to that prospect? Was it like family that had done it before, or what
Family friend, family that we're friends with. They were in the Air Force, and I was friends with his daughter, and she kind of talked about it, and so I got interested in that.
Sure.
So
Typically, girl always leads us down the path in one way or another.
Yep.
So, and what is ROTC first semester different than versus like the full time you're in, or how? Because I was just enlisted as regular Army. I didn't go through an ROTC program. I'm actually interested in that ROTC program.
So what I remember from that was, we had 1 or 2 classes a week of Air Force classes. Then we had to, we did PT once a week, and can't remember if I don't think we had to march, but I did join the honor guard, which they taught us how to march and do the rifles and flags and all that stuff.
Okay. Now, did you have to do it for more than a semester to get the benefits of ROTC when you eventually enlisted? Excuse me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Okay. So you would have had to do it for the entire 4 years.
Yeah.
So you just did it first semester, decided at that point it wasn't for you. Is that
right?
Okay. And then we'll go. Sorry, I didn't mean to go back,
No,
but
that's
it's
fine.
like the ROTC program to me, like it wasn't something that I knew really anything about. And there's a couple of guys that went through it because I think you can go through like a high school element of it too. Correct?
Yeah, junior
Yes,
ROTC.
yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. So graduated with college. What was your degree in?
Homeland Security.
Oh, really? Awesome. Okay.
But in my opinion, I mean, great program, but I feel like you should really get it like a specific degree. I felt like that degree was just too general. So
As far as like getting into actual Homeland Security.
yeah, getting into a job like that, other than just being a bag checker at TSA or
Right.
something like that. So in all honesty, it kind of felt like I got a degree just because that's what people told you to do. Because to be a success, you got to have a degree, which is somewhat
That
true,
was the
but-
time back then. Everybody was saying, get a good degree. No one was wanting to go into trades back in the day.
Yeah.
It was all college. That was the whole focus of that generation.
Well, I think it's been something that's really been since the boomers. That
Yeah.
the whole thing is like you need to go to college or and get a degree.
Right.
And I know there's a big point in time when, and even now, I mean, that businesses are looking for somebody with a degree, and there's a lot of reasons for it. Similar to the same reasons they look at a military background, right? You're willing to start something and finish it.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
so go ahead.
So in my opinion, getting a degree just to get a degree is a waste of time and money. Just because you get out and you're just like, well, I don't really like my degree anymore, but I have all this student debt, so I got to do something.
Right.
So I don't know. That's my advice to all the high schools I talk to. Just like, unless you really know what you want to do, just maybe wait a little bit. Because I think it's nuts that we tell 17 and 18-year-olds just like, you got to figure out what you want to do the rest of your life right now.
Yeah, it's to this day, it's just something that that's going to change 5 times probably by the time they're 18 and 25.
Well, I changed my major in college 3 times.
Yeah.
When I was in college,
Did you even graduate in any of them?
I got certificated in one and I got a degree in the other.
Okay.
But I did I got a personal training degree, not a degree, certification. And I didn't like the continuing in this college for that degree, because you would have to learn the muscles, all this stuff. And then you would have to learn stuff that was not to that degree. And I'm
I would say
and-
learning anatomy would probably be a little bit important, but
learning that, but I mean, like, they would have you do stuff that's like doesn't have anything to do with the degree.
Right.
Like, you would have to take some other classes. I'm like, what is this going for this degree? So I decided to go to business. At least business, everything translated to business eventually.
mm-hmm.
So I stayed with that, and I got a degree in that. But I did. That's why I'm actually going back to college this fall.
Right, to do something that actually like.
Yeah, actually, I like, because at the time I was like, I was really stupid. I didn't really. Everybody was telling me just get a degree and stuff. I didn't really focus on what degree to get. So I was just like, I'll get the business degree because my dad's in business, my cousins are in business, everyone I know is in business. So
It's
Okay.
it's interesting because obviously there's a lot of people that argue the point of degree versus not degree, going to school right after. For me, I despised high school. I liked everything about it except going every morning at 8:30 and sitting through classes when really you retain about 5 minutes of each class every day, and maybe 10 minutes of each class is actually relevant to life. So when I got out, I was like, I knew I did not want to go to college. Like, one, I didn't want to go into debt because I knew I might graduate, but I didn't even know what I wanted to do at that point either.
Yep.
So the military was my answer to something like, hey, I could get paid. I'll have all this, my GI Bill for later if I want to go. And even to this day, like I've been in sales essentially my whole career, or consulting of some firm. Like I haven't needed a degree. So if I know when, I would have delayed my start in life 4 years.
Yep.
And at this point in life, like you're looking at being $100,000 in debt when you graduate with a college degree.
Oh
right?
yeah. I ended up having probably $60,000 in debt, which thankfully I paid off by now. But still, I don't know, kids just don't put that in perspective, in my opinion.
Yeah,
No, none at all.
So when you're talking to these high school students, and how many of them are? I guess what percentage of you would say are going to college? Like they already know they're going to go.
Oh, the vast majority of them,
Is it
especially
really?
in Medina County.
Yeah.
I get it's more of a well-to-do area, so I guess a lot of them, their parents have ingrained in their head college.
How many of those would you say have like a for sure action plan on like I'm going to school for this degree so that I could turn it into this?
Oh, that's a good question. A lot of them do just be like, yeah, I'm just going to college to get a business degree or whatever. And I mean, nothing against business degrees, but something else I tell them just like, do you know what do you want to do with that?
Well,
and then they say, oh, no, not really. And then I'm like, so you're going to graduate and be one of like 400 billion other business degrees. You got to have something to have you stand out from the crowd.
And I hope people understand when they go into business, business is very open. Like you can use a lot of things, but there's a lot of businesses that are looking for certain degrees, not just a business application, like a business degree, but they want like business financing, business management degree.
Well, I think that's what you just talked about too,
Yeah.
Josh, when it comes to your
Specifics.
homeland security is getting more specific
Yeah.
with it. But in order to do that, you have to know specifically what you want to get into in a career field. And at 17, 18, 16, really, 16, 17, 18 years old, it's hard to have that figured out because, I mean, you're still developing, you're still meeting people, you're still learning new things. Luckily, today's day and age at least has the power of the internet to where you can really kind of hone in on the things that you're interested in. But I'm interested to see where that leads to in the next generation, right? Are they going to be more specific? Is there going to be less or more people attending colleges, trade schools, things like that? It just vary. So you said here in Medina, obviously the majority of people plan on going to college, but there's some benefits to going into college with military experience as well, right? So does the conversation ever come up to like doing reserves while going into college, or because they still do the deferred program where like you can do basic one summer and then the next summer do like your AIT or specialized training?
So with that, the Air Force has specific recruiters for each aspect of the Air Force. So I'm the enlisted recruiter.
Okay.
But we also have one specifically for the reserves and then one specifically for the Guard.
Okay.
So as far as that goes, I'm not sure.
I got you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's get back to you then. So recruiting was not obviously in the plan 9 years ago. You go to the recruiter office to join up, or how did you go about?
Yeah, I went to the recruiter office, and actually, I wanted to go Navy first because their nuke program. They always hype up the nuke program, and that got me too. And I don't know if you all noticed, but my hands shake.
Okay.
Like a neurological thing, and so whenever I went up to MEPS, the Military Interest Processing Station, they DQ'd me for that.
Okay.
But the Air Force, I got an SG waiver approved for it.
Awesome.
So I think it worked out for the best. Like I'm kind of glad I'm in the Air Force versus the Navy.
So did you know what you wanted to do at that point? Like as far as, I mean, you talked about the nuke program, but when you went to the Air Force, what did you go in for originally?
So also going back to college, whenever I did ROTC, I studied Chinese for that semester. And so whenever I went back to the recruiter's office, I wanted to be a linguist.
Mm-hmm.
And that is in what I ended up getting.
That is or isn't?
Yeah, it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And so used to be, you'd have to do the ASVAB. And for a linguist, you had to do something else called the DLAB, which is Defense Language Aptitude Battery.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, if you got a good score on that, like a passing score, you're basically guaranteed a linguist job.
Okay.
And I did, and that's what happened.
Okay. So let's talk about those tests now that, anybody interested in the reserve or has been in the military knows. So you have the ASVAB, which is just a general knowledge test. I think it was like 50 questions. Is that right?
Oh no, it's a lot more than that.
Is it
I
really?
think it's 120.
Okay, it's been
Yeah, I
25
was gonna
years.
say,
But and it was like generic questions, like math questions or common sense questions, essentially. Like,
Yeah.
you know, if you had to take this apart, what would you do first or whatever?
Yep.
It was kind of how I remember it. What is that ASVAB test looking for specifically? And then for you, is the GT score still the end all be all score of that test?
No. So the ASVAB, the way the Air Force looks at it is you have your overall score, have to get at least a 31 to pass, and the score goes up to 99.
Mm-hmm.
And then we look at 4 subcomponents of that too. So mechanical, administrative, general, and electrical.
Okay.
So even if you get a 31 overall, but you score really high in like mechanical or electrical, you can still have a lot of really good jobs available.
Okay. Now, when you went in, was there incentive for you to join, or were you like me and you just went in the office like, I want to join, get me in, and like didn't even? And then you're in training and you start hearing all these stories. You're like, son of a gun, I could have held out for money. What?
I did get a signing bonus. I mean, it was 11,000 at the time.
That's awesome.
So,
When
yeah, it's
you're
not
17, 18, 19,
I
20
was
years
saying,
old. Like, that's a lot of money, especially 10 years ago.
now was it tax? I never.
After taxes is about
Okay, is it
83.
so? Okay. Because I'm wondering, like, is it tax free?
Yeah,
like,
no, that's-
No.
my cousin got a signing bonus, but hers was like really high. It was like 27,000.
Okay.
I'm like, what the?
Yeah.
But I never asked her if it was it taxed or not.
Yeah, definitely
No, it's
taxed.
taxed.
Okay.
Unfortunately, yeah.
So for somebody coming to the office, is that something, and I don't know if this has changed, but because this is, like I said, 25 years ago, but is that something that you guys are more open about now, or is that something that is kind of utilized to entice to go towards a specific MOS, or how is that kind of, as a recruiter, how do you put that in front of from young kids?
Yeah, I mean, if they ask about it, yeah, we'll say like, yeah, there's signing bonuses for only for certain jobs,
Gotcha.
and the bonuses change every so often. Like the current bonuses last through the end of the fiscal year, so they end at the beginning of October,
Mhm.
and then we'll get a new list of bonuses. And I've heard that the bonuses are going to go up this next fiscal year.
That's good
So
to know for some young
Everyone
people.
should be at least, 2-digit.
But is it for you guys? Is it more beneficial from a recruiter standpoint? Like if you are if you voluntary, yeah, this is, hey, just so you know, if you sign up, this is available to you. Are you not able to kind of share that until they show interest? I'm always kind of curious because, like I said, when I went in, I didn't hear anything about it, but
Yeah.
it's obviously something somebody shared.
Yeah, well, like I said, we'll tell them that there are bonuses, but once we get to, we call it job counseling, that's when, we'll say, here, you can look at these. But, I mean, ultimately, we don't want them to be joining just for monetary purposes.
Sure.
Yeah.
So
And that makes sense.
that's why I don't bring that up right away.
Yeah, because you're right. That's going to draw in a lot of interest, and then
Yep.
All right, so bonus part of it, you get in. What was your experience like going through basic?
So something else I always tell people, basic isn't hard. Air Force Basic, it's just annoying more than anything. It's more of a mental aspect. Like the roughest part's probably the first week or two when it's that culture shock of you don't know anybody, you're in a new situation, people are yelling at you. And so I specifically remember on the plane down to San Antonio, which is where our basic is, just sitting there thinking like, what did I do? But yeah, it wasn't horrible. Like I said, they're not like these days, they're not allowed to even touch you
Right.
or like get in your face like they used to be able to.
What?
Yeah, I think so when I went, they weren't able to really touch you. I'm pretty sure they weren't able to touch you at all. And this was back in 2000. I went in 2000. But they were able to get in your face. And obviously you're getting smoked and doing like push-ups at 2:00 in the morning was a thing. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
but I think you're right. It's funny. I looked back at it and like the hardest part of basic was being 17 years old and not knowing any of the people that you're with.
Yep.
And you're going through this experience where it's like, I can't just leave when I want. You know what I mean? I signed up for this.
Mm-hmm.
But I look back for it and it's like, I think a lot of those, one, getting to know a bunch of new people, learning how to take orders, learning how to like stick something through and like complete it, getting on an early schedule versus sleeping until 10, 11, 12 o'clock all day. Like those are characteristics that I learned and traits that I learned back then that have followed me through to this day. Like to this day, there's nothing more I hate than sleeping past 9 o'clock. Like, while it might feel good, but like on a day that I sleep till 9, I feel like I've already wasted half the day.
Right.
And it drives me crazy if like my wife can't get up at 7 a.m. when I want to go do something. Like I'm like, let's go. Like, and then, you know, being stuck somewhere where you know, 24 hour, like that's like where 24-hour survey or security is like finally taught to you when you're responsible for being up all night, even though you just trained all day and not falling asleep on the job. And it's like, yeah, it's hard, but it's not really that difficult.
It's more of a mind game than anything. Really.
It is, but I mean, it's the entry step to getting you prepared for really what you were gonna, you know, do. And it's funny because really shortly after I went in is when Afghanistan happened and Iraq happened, and like, I mean, we were up for like 4 straight days when we first crossed the border to Iraq, and like, I think back to like those early days when like basic when you're getting 4 hours of sleep minimum or whatever, and it's like, man, like I'm glad I'm prepared for this in some way. Like, I mean, but it's like, it's crazy to think back, like it's all there for a reason.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to meet people. If I feel like everything that you learn in basic and really that initial training is like a setup for life for success.
Oh yeah, for sure. And yeah, I mean, I'm sure with you too, there's still people from basic training that I talk with and am still good friends with, even though they live other parts of the country.
Well, the other thing is too is like it's a introduction to other cultures, right? I grew up in Southern California, but before basic, I was out here at Cloverleaf. So I was out in the sticks for the last 6 years of my life before. So really, like in my young man developing stage, like I grew up in cow country. So you know, when I went to basic and AIT, I was no longer the majority. I was the minority as far as in my basic. We had probably 60% African American versus white. So it was like a different, that's where I learned how to play spades. That's where I learned how to, like, there's just random stuff that you learn, like, and, you know, I think to that point, it's like good for you to like these different people that come from all over the country, Tennessee, Florida, Texas, like all over. And it's just a good experience. You learn stuff and it opens your mind to things later down the road.
Yep. I agree.
So is basic Air Force still is it 9 weeks, just like the Army?
No, it's 7.5.
7.5. They were right. It was easier.
I think that's the shortest one out of all of them.
Okay. And then obviously you talked about going into language school. So you speak Chinese fluently?
No, I didn't get Chinese. So the way they did that is like halfway through basic training, they gave us a list of 6 to put the languages we wanted there. They gave us a book of languages to look through. So I had to put my 6, and then I think in like towards the end of it, they let you know what language you got.
Gotcha. So what did you end up getting?
So something that wasn't on my list. No, I ended up getting Pashto.
Okay. Wait, what?
What?
Yeah.
What is
Pashto?
that?
I assume you know what that is since you said you went to Afghanistan.
Yeah. Is that, I mean, shoot, this was 20 years ago.
What is that?
It's like I'm guessing I don't remember Pashto being a language specifically.
It's language in Afghanistan.
Is it really like a local from a specific area? It's not the overall language.
It is. A lot of the country speaks it. It's like half and half between Pashto and Dari.
Okay.
Okay, I know Dari, but I never heard of Pashto.
Holy smokes! So how was going through a class trying to learn that? Because to me, Arabic is so hard, but I mean Chinese would probably be just as hard.
Chinese, I feel like Chinese would be the hardest because they don't even have an alphabet.
Right.
So you just have to memorize all the symbols. So I'm kind of glad I didn't get Chinese, but yeah, Pashto, it's a lot like Arabic. Once you get into higher level Pashto, it is Arabic, so just squiggles and dots.
Yeah.
But we had our program was 64 weeks long, so it's a long tech school.
Sure.
And you know, doing it 8 hours a day. That's all you do in schools, so that makes it a little easier. It's still tough, but like some of the other languages programs were harder. The Pashto one was well designed, so it wasn't as hard as like Chinese or even Korean.
Right.
But,
I mean, just learning a language to the point where you can speak it and translate it, and you know, the other aspect too, it's funny because people talk about the English language like it's so easy. I'm like, well, you grew up learning, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, have you ever seen those videos where the guy like talks about like the 25 different, like he's like moose. So like meese? No, multiple moose is still moose. He's like, but mouse, there's meese. I don't know. It's like, it's just all these crazy like ways that we've done things like there, and there.
I'd hate to learn English.
But yeah, so I mean, obviously, there's a multitude of different jobs. What would you say is the most popular job in the Air Force right now?
It's a tough question. A lot of people want medical, which is a little bit harder to come by than others. We're always hiring for like maintenance jobs, cop jobs. So I don't know if there is a pivot. A lot of people want air traffic control.
Things that translate into the real
yeah,
world.
yeah.
Makes sense.
Trades, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And just for everybody out there, we're not all pilots. For every event we go to, it's just like, you interested? No, I don't want to be a pilot. Just like, cool, man. You don't have to be.
Yeah, right. Well, doesn't the Navy actually have more pilots than the Air Force? Is that correct?
They might. Like the Air Force, out of everybody, I think there's like 4% of the total Air Force is pilots.
Yeah. There's this point in time when I told you I grew up in the 80s, so like Top Gun was like my childhood dream was to be a fighter pilot, and then I was afraid of heights, so it didn't
I didn't know that about you.
Yeah, which
Oh
part?
my God.
That I was afraid of heights?
No, I didn't
Everybody
know.
knows that.
Oh shit, now I do.
But yeah, it's funny because everybody thinks that means you have to go Air Force. I'm like, actually, that's Navy, and it's like a lot of that stuff is, I feel like, nowadays. Well, so all right, as a young kid that's coming up, obviously you talked about your experience, good experience. You spent 9 years. How did you end up coming to the recruiting fold?
So, interesting story with that. So you can either volunteer or get voluntold.
Voluntold.
I was the second.
Okay. It's like, you sounds like you got voluntold.
Yeah. Yeah. So with that, I was wanting to retrain out of my career field anyway. And another cool thing about the Air Force is even if you get a job that you end up not liking, you can retrain into something else at some point too. So it's not like you're going to be stuck in that.
You have to
one
wait
job.
till your contracts kind of come and due, and then say it's.
It's 13 months before the end of your first contract. You can look into retrain.
Okay.
So I was going to do that anyway, but it was July of 2022. I was on vacation in Myrtle Beach, and like midway through the week, my boss texted me just like, "Hey, the wing needs names for eligible staff sergeants for either military training instructor or recruiter. Are you interested?" And I was like, "No." And the next day, my flight chief calls and basically says the same thing. "Are you interested?" I was like, "No." And he said, "Well, you got to pick one of them. Don't worry, we'll make sure that they know you don't want to volunteer for it, but we got to give them names." So I was like, "All right, recruiting sounds like the lesser of those two evils." And so the retrain list came out August 1st, which was a Monday. And I think Thursday or Friday before, I got an email that said, "Congrats, you're a recruiter." And I was like, I was dumbfounded.
Like, wait, what?
And I was just to my flight chief. I was like, "Come here." And I showed it to him. I was like, "Is this what I think it says?" He's like, "Yep."
Wow.
Voluntold.
Yeah.
But you've been doing it for 2 years now. Are you kind of glad that you got it?
I mean, it develops you a lot more than just staying in your original job. That's another Air Force thing. Like, we don't like you to stay static in one spot. We want to make you more well-rounded. Now, it is a stressful job, I'll tell you that.
Sure.
It's not for the faint of heart, for sure.
Right.
But I mean, it makes you more confident just talking to strangers, getting up in front of people, going out in the community and just walking up to people, because that's not an easy thing to do. Just walking to a stranger, be like, "Hey, man, what's going on? You want to join the Air Force?"
Is it everything that you thought recruiting would be? Like when you went and signed up, were you like, "I don't want to be that guy," or "I want to be just like my recruiter"? Do you ever have that aspect, or like the? Yeah, go ahead.
I don't really think I had any idea of it going in mind. It's definitely harder than I thought it would be.
Yeah,
But no, I like my recruiter. My recruiter was a good guy.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So let's get into kind of what the day-to-day recruiting level looks like. So what are you kind of trying to do on a day-to-day basis as far as how are you looking for new recruits? You mentioned going out, and we've all seen the guys at the fair that are sitting there in their booth and have a competition or something to try and get people up to. But what are you typically trying to do?
So I'm that guy at the fair.
Yeah.
I was there this last week, and especially during the summer months, we're always looking for events to go to because we don't have schools to go to. So
Sure.
just trying to get the brand out there. I was actually at the Balloons Over Wadsworth Festival yesterday,
Okay.
basically all day. That's a cool event if you've ever gone.
Yeah, we actually tried to go one year. I think the storm canceled it, but you always see them like going
Yeah.
all over the place, hot air balloons.
So that was cool. And then, like, our leadership tells us 50% of the time we have to do LGA, which is lead generating activities. And a lot of times the majority of it is calling phone lists or just going out in the community. Like you said, you saw me at the gym or any place you can put up a table, that kind of thing. Looking for people to put up like banners with your information, just trying to get your name out there as much as possible.
Sure. And then the other 50%?
The admin.
Yeah. How much? So when in the admin is obviously helping send in the paperwork for potential recruits and things like that.
Yep.
So somebody says they're interested in, what's that process look like for them? Like, where does it start?
So a lot of times, if people are interested, I would say give me a call first, because a lot of times, we're always busy doing something. So if you come by the office, like there's a good chance I won't even be there.
Sure.
So yeah, give me a call, and then I have a list of like background questions to ask you about, just to make sure you're qualified to even come in for an appointment.
So what? Let me ask you about those background questions. What kind of things are you looking for? What kind of things kind of right away say this isn't going to work?
So the main hitting points are: do you have any law violations, arrests, tickets, anything like that? And then what are they? A lot of it's medical. So you on any medications right now? Ever like ADHD, asthma, allergic to anything? Ever had any major surgeries or anything like that? Then there's the drug question, like you ever done any illegal drugs, that kind of thing.
Sure.
And then depending on what they say, you already know that they might need a waiver up at MEPS to get through, which is super common.
Right.
But
Well, I was going to say, well, that's the thing I was going to ask you, because I do recall my recruiting office mentioning, like, okay, don't tell them that you smoked weed. Don't ever say that again. I'm glad you let me know, but don't ever say that again. But there is, and then as far as tickets and stuff like that, that's typically generic stuff, especially for young men or women. But I did have a question about ADHD, because obviously the last 10 years, like Adderall prescriptions and Ritalin prescriptions was kind of my generation's thing.
Yep.
But now antidepressants and things like that, there's like such a high number of prescriptions being added. Is that becoming a problem when it comes to the recruiting aspect, or is that something that's not easily waived, but can be waived?
oh yeah, I don't think we'd be able to make mission if we didn't waive that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, because it seems like it's so much higher than it's ever been for every reason. How does the Air Force look into that? Do they, or not look into that, but what do they look at that and say, like, okay, it's justifiable reason? What's that part of that waiver process, I guess?
So it changes every now and then. Like beginning of the year, it used to be like, hey, off medication for 2 months, you should be good. Now it's changed. It's a little harsher now, where you have to be off meds for at least a year, and then a year being stable off of them. However, I mean, another saying is just push it. They might approve it.
Right.
I had somebody recently that just got off medication in December, and they approved him. So
Gotcha.
just because we had that rule doesn't mean it's like the be all end all.
So they don't allow you to enter basic with being on that on medications
Nope.
then at all?
Nope. Most of the medication you have to be off for at least a year.
Really? Wow. Yeah, that's not something, like I said, I wasn't on any meds going into basic, but I'd imagine now it's definitely something. So when somebody says that they're interested, you have to have that conversation obviously up front, like, hey, you're going to have to be off meds for a year if you're interested, or 6 months. What's the typical response to that?
I mean, a lot of people are disappointed, but the reason we ask that ahead of time is like we don't want to waste each other's time having an appointment if it's not going to lead anywhere for like a year or so.
Well, it makes sense.
So, yeah.
I mean, because a lot's going to change in a year.
It's frustrating on our part too, because I remember last year in probably April, I had 5 or 6 people who were interested, but like 4 of them were on like anxiety meds or whatnot, and so I'm just like, you got to wait a year at least.
Yeah. Put that in a long range funnel.
Yeah. And then you call them back a year later, they're like, no, I'm not interested. And you'd be like,
Yeah, right. Of course. And that's, it's funny because people like look at the recruiters back. Like, obviously your job is to get people in the military. It's not you that wants to turn people away.
I feel like a lot of people do think we're the bad guys. Just like, trust us. We want you to get in as much as you want to get in.
Oh yeah, absolutely. My buddy, I think I told you, was an Army recruiter. That's how he ended up his last 3 years or 4 years before retiring, is what he did out in like the smallest little rural area of Washington, like outside of Fort Lewis, And that's what he said. He's like, dude, there's times like I have to spend the last 48 hours with somebody before they're going to MEPS, because they're just that person who doesn't maybe have a family or anybody to support them, and they get scared. Their friends get scared. So he's like, we're willing to do whatever it takes to help them get to that next step. Because obviously, your job is to sell, right? To sell the Air Force. So you have numbers that you guys have to hit that you're responsible for too. So that's what your job is as a recruiter.
Right.
But the last thing you want to do is tell somebody no.
If we can help it, yeah.
Yeah. So those are some aspects that you're probably seeing more and more, like you talked about now, is a lot of people are on meds. And I mean, I feel like a lot of people probably don't know they have to be off those for 6 months to a year. So, I mean, how many kids are out there at 17 years old being like, I need to get off my meds for next year because I want to do the Air Force? It's just something they probably don't hear about.
And that's why, so we can start working with juniors in April of their junior year. And we always say just like, hey, if you're interested, go ahead and, start the process now just in case that happens. Because there's another example. I remember talking to this one kid last year at the beginning of the year, and I didn't get anywhere with him. Towards the end, he was like, yeah, I'm interested now. Are you on meds? Yeah, ADHD meds. So I was like, bro, you got to wait a year now.
Yeah.
If you had talked to me at the beginning of the year, you wouldn't have to wait as long.
Sure. I guess that's probably something that you try to cover quicker rather than later. Like you said, call me first. Does the Air Force, once again, we live in a world where if you can get some information out there in a 30-second clip, you're more likely to get in front of more people.
Yeah.
But does the Air Force do a pretty good job, like with YouTube shorts, TikToks, things like that? Or do they not do that at all, where they say, hey, look, you're interested in the Air Force. These are some things that you need to be aware of when you first join or before you join, before you see a recruiter. Do they do stuff like that?
Yeah, I'd say we do a pretty good job at that. There's a lot of really good influencers out there for the Air Force.
That's good.
And then something I stick to mainly is Instagram, but there's a lot of good content out there.
Yeah, I feel like everybody's got to find their niche. I just, obviously the difference in now and 25 years ago is like the only way you were getting information is you went to the recruiter's office. Now with TikTok and all these different social platforms out there, there could be a lot of information that could be getting out there that people see and can go from. All right, so they go to the office. You answer those initial 3 questions. Now they say they're interested. What, and this is something I'm very curious about, because has the Air Force had the same physical standards as even 10, 20 years ago as they do now, or did they redevelop their fitness tests similar to the Marines and Army?
So interesting you asked that. We are changing our fitness test beginning of next year, I believe. We're just going from 1.5 miles to 2 mile run.
Okay. Was it always 1.5 miles for the Air Force?
As far as I've been in, yeah.
Okay.
And then we have developed like alternates, other than like the push-ups and sit-ups. You can do hand release push-ups, and then like some crunch looking thing.
Right.
And then do like a pacer test instead of the 1.5 mile run.
Oh, what's a pacer test?
Like, in high school when you had to like run from one, like this end line to the middle and then
back and forth?
Yeah, just back and forth.
Okay.
Yeah. So you had to do those so many times in a certain amount of time.
Oh, really?
But I believe they're going away from that and just back to the OG,
2 mile
just
run.
push ups, sit ups, and run.
Oh, really?
Mhm.
That's interesting. I wonder if the other branches are following suit, because I just did push-ups, sit-ups, 2 mile run. That's what the Army was when I went in. But I think 2 years ago, my gym did a competition. It was based off of the new thing where they actually had deadlifts in there. They had the hand release push-ups. They had the plank, I think, is now part of it. And I was like, it was cool. It was harder to max out, but it was much easier to get to like the minimum standard.
Yeah, that's how our alternates are. A lot easier to pass, but much harder to max.
Has physical, I mean, just from the military in general, has physical fitness kind of, does brass notice that there's been a drop off in it? Are they concerned about that? Like,
I'd say so. I feel like that's the reason why they're making the upcoming change for us anyway.
Like they want a higher level of physical fitness in the military.
Right. And then, I mean, you want a fit military too, right?
Of course.
I think they did a study a few years ago where there was an alarming percentage of the military that was considered obese. So they're definitely trying to fix that. Another thing they're going to change is, which I don't know how I feel about this, but if you score a certain amount, you either have to take the test every 6 months or a year. So it's kind of like an incentive to do better on the test. You don't have to do it for another year, but they're going to where it's just mandatory to do it every 6 months regardless.
Okay. I like the idea of only having to do it a year. I didn't have that, but I would have loved that.
So I don't know how I feel about that, because again, I feel like you lose that incentive, and so people are just like, "Oh, right, well, I'm just going to pass now," instead of.
Yeah. So, and I think units have a lot of aspect on that too, and there's other benefits to it, right?
Yeah.
For our unit, if you scored over a 275, you were able to do your PT. You still had to be at PT formation, but you could do whatever you wanted for PT. So, like 3 days out of the week, me and a couple of buddies would go to the gym instead of do whatever the company was doing. Right. Usually, I used that to get out of the company runs on Thursday because they were awfully slow paced and like super boring 5 mile runs, but. So there's always like some incentives, and then like if you, because I think if like when I was a squad leader, if my entire squad was over like a 250, then we didn't have to show up for formation on Thursdays and Fridays or something like that. Like that, we just had like different things. So like physical fitness was always kind of important to me in my unit, and a lot of the guys that we were on, like we had all kinds of different things, and it just made it like it was one of those things where they were kind of pushing on you, like, hey, look, this is an opportunity for you to like become a better soldier, but also then have some autonomy in what you do with your time. And I thought the military was kind of good at that as what's the word I'm looking for? It was good at like having an incentive for doing something extra.
Right.
Most jobs, 17, 18, 19 years old, they don't have that, right? Like if you're working at the Chick-fil-A down the road, like you don't get an incentive for making 45 chicken sandwiches in an hour, you know, but if you could maximize your PT test, then guess what? You could do this. And, you know, if you could, you can skip sergeant's time on Thursdays if you were able to do this and get out of there early. So I thought the military was good at like teaching that to young people. But all right, so there's a couple of changes that are upcoming in the year. It's good that they're starting to realize physical fitness. Is that something that, so when you get to that first point with the new recruit, he goes through those initial questions. When does physical fitness become part of that that journey? Is it immediately, or is it more like, hey, let's get into job selection, let's go through your testing, stuff like that?
Well, physical fitness, it does start at the beginning. Another one of the background questions that I ask is, you know, how tall and how much do you weigh? Because for certain heights, you have to be within a certain weight range.
Yeah.
So obviously, if someone's 50 pounds overweight, we're going to be like, I might need to work on that before you come in.
Right. Now, obviously, that changes based on everybody, because I think for my entire time in the military, I was outside of their scale, but their scale was kind of very generic, like in the sense of it was height and weight, and there was like no. I think then it went to body fat percentage was like the third measurement after that.
We do. So if you're outside of the weight range, we do a body fat measurement. And if you're within a certain percentage, we'll still accept that.
Right.
Like for guys, it's 26% or below, and girls, it's 30%.
Right. So after that, do you immediately ASVAB them like a practice, or?
That's another thing. We do send them a short practice test before they come in, just to get a baseline on how they do. Because obviously, if they get a 4, you're gonna be like, well, I might need to study a little bit.
How do you have guys study for that test?
What I always recommend is the ASVAB for Dummies book. I've heard that's a really good resource. And then Grammar Hero on YouTube. There's a ton of stuff you can just Google on YouTube, like the Khan Academy. They got a lot of good stuff.
Yeah.
So apps nowadays too.
Yeah, I'd imagine, because like I said, it's a very common sense, basic understanding test. So I always felt like, I mean, you kind of know or you don't know. If you don't know, like I don't even know where you go to study for like some of the questions that are on there are so funny, but like it makes sense to understand. Like you should be able to have the common sense. It's kind of like a common sense test.
It is.
It really is.
And so with that, I honestly think the best time to take it is either at the end of high school or right after, because you still remember all that stuff, and then as you get away from it, you forget it.
Yeah. Is it good for a certain amount of time? Like
it's
if
good
I take
for 2 years.
2 years. So if somebody's uncertain, you know, take it right after high school, just like you take your ACTs or your SATs. Do you suggest that to people that are just, hey, look, I know you're not interested, but just like you take your ACTs, your SATs, you might not go to college, but it's a good thing to have.
Oh yeah. And if you like your high school scores, you can keep them.
Yeah.
So it's another good way. Like, hey, low stress. You like these, you can keep them, but if not,
right,
don't worry about it.
Still able to join at 17 with the parents' permission.
Yep. That's another recent change too. So used to be 17 to 39, but they recently increased it to 17 to 42.
Oh no! Well, first off, I would love to join. I was actually planning to join the Marines right after high school, but then when they found I was flat-footed, diabetic, they're like, no. They said I could take after I do like, they said I could do a test, and I would probably have desk duty for the rest of my life. And I'm like, you do not want a dyslexic kid to do desk duty.
Yeah, you didn't even tell them about the dyslexia.
No, as soon as I told them the flat-footed and the freaking diabetes, they're like, no,
you're not what we're looking for.
You're denied.
You're not gonna be all you can be.
I wanted to. It's funny because I've met my my cousins' commanders and stuff, and they're like, you're really good, and I'm like, yeah, but when it comes to paperwork, don't ask me. Diabetic, don't ask me.
Yeah, that's funny.
But yeah, I would have loved to join the Marines, but my cousin's Air Force and my other cousin is Marines.
Oh, nice.
So
All right, so you go through the process. You're asking a couple basic questions. You're having them do a kind of practice ASVAB. Talk about medicines that they're on and prescriptions and things like that. Talked about physical fitness.
Mm.
Do you find that most kids are interested because they don't necessarily have a plan? Do you feel like most kids are interested because they do have something they want to do, but they want to get directly into that job? I mean, because obviously 40, 50, 60 weeks of training in a specific job, I mean, you got to have kind of an idea of what you want to do.
Right.
But-
So first part of that, I'd say a lot of the times kids will have like military background for reasons that they want to join. And a lot of times like, yeah, I just don't know what I want to do right now. And then I'd say a good amount too are just like, yeah, I've tried college, but it's not for me. And hey, I heard a buddy talk about the Air Force. They suggested to come in and talk to you. So
Makes sense.
and then as far as the job goes, so this is something that is a sticking point for a lot of people. The way we do jobs is so just to maximize our flexibility, we do have people list 8 jobs that they're willing to do based on what they're qualified for. We always say we can't guarantee any one job because we get job lists every month, and there's literally no way to tell what's going to be on the next job list other than, there's probably maintenance jobs. There'll be cop jobs.
Right.
But if you really want a certain job, then the Air Force isn't for you because it's you could be waiting around for forever.
Sure.
And then typically the more popular jobs like medical, they only come around so often. And the people that are willing to play by the rules and list those 8 jobs and they have medical number 1, we want to give them that over somebody that's just like, nope, not doing it without medical.
I was gonna say, is there like that's kind of a tough sell, right? Because they don't understand, or I mean, to me, I'm like, if medical is my only one, then I should be at the top of that list.
Yeah.
If someone's willing to select 7 other jobs, then obviously it's not that important to them.
But another way to look at it is, I mean, try going down to the hospital and being like, I'm only going to join with it, or I'm only going to get a job here for this specific job. They're going to laugh you out of the office.
Sure.
So especially without any training, like at fresh high school, just like, I only want to be a doctor. Just like,
Right.
cool,
Who are
man.
you? Yeah,
And
right.
who are you type thing.
Yeah.
So
Now, are you constantly evaluated through like the training process as far as like, can your job change without your input once you sign up for something, or once you sign up for something, is that what you're locked into?
no, once you sign up, that's what you're locked into.
Good.
There is another thing out of those 8 jobs. We have an aptitude area, which is one of those 4 I talked about earlier: mechanical, admin, general, electrical.
Mhm.
So if you get that, then you'd be guaranteed a job of like mechanical. You just wouldn't know specifically until basic training. So that is a caveat for that one.
So for Army, it was GT score, right? That's still part of the ASVAB. Is it GT?
Not for the Air Force.
But
Someone brought that up the other day. I was like, I have no clue.
So do you have a different ASVAB test than the other
No,
branches?
it's just I just feel like they call it something different.
It's like they just listed a different, because I know there's like the little abbreviations right on each one. I wonder what they call it. I'm gonna have to look that up right now. What are the categories of ASVAB?
But I'd say I have had a pretty good track record of people getting at least in their top 3.
Okay.
So. And then there's also specialty jobs too. Like we're always sitting for special warfare.
Mhm.
So like pararescue, combat control, tactical air control, EOD, stealth recon, those kind of things. There's also one called SEER, which is basically just training people for survival out in the woods if they're in a plane and get shot down.
Yeah.
Sounds like a cool job.
It's like ridiculously insane training though. I mean, it's more
It's like Bear Grylls almost like.
Yeah.
yeah, it's almost like a special forces training
Yeah.
type position, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. And that's another thing that is annoying. Like if people say, "Oh, I want to be a badass, I'm going to join the Marines," just like you can be a badass with us too.
No,
Yeah.
Like just we have those kind of jobs too, but a lot of people don't realize that. And plus, they're the ones with the highest signing bonuses.
Yeah. I think that GT score is general sciences or something like
Okay.
that. I don't know. Whenever you try to look something up that's very specific for whatever reason, I just know it had to be above 110, and then you could have any job that you wanted. Is the way that they kind of looked at it in the Army. So, what is the culture, in your opinion, Air Force versus Army versus Marines, like, from an Air Force side of things, when you're talking to young recruits, do you ever? I mean, obviously, your job is to get as many people to sign up for the Air Force as possible. But are there times when you're like, well, this is a good fit for you because of this, or is there like a difference in, I guess, who you're looking for?
I mean, yes and no. A lot of times it is, if you're qualified and want to join, then sure. I'm
Right.
not going to turn anybody away because of that. Now we have, like, we're always told we have full autonomy to reject people if we choose to, based on if they're, a jerk or being disrespectful, or if, like, they did coke like an hour ago or something. I don't know if that answered your question on that or
No,
not,
I
but-
guess I looked at it as like, I mean, there's different cultures associated with each branch. So I was curious, do you notice that? And I mean, anytime you're in sales, there's numbers, there's demographics. So like, does the Air Force say like, hey, look, this is who we do best with? And this is stereotypical, like Army guy, like women, young men who want to work behind a desk or work in an office and things like that. Now, obviously, there's some badass jobs in each branch, but that would be my initial stereotype of what an average Air Force recruit would be.
Yeah.
But does the Air Force give you guys kind of a baseline and say, hey, like this is the demographic we typically do well with, whether it's scores in school or athletics or things like that?
No, I'd say just it varies recruiter to recruiter, honestly. Like, some recruiters are better at doing school visits versus it's basically high schoolers or grads. So it's just, I guess, what's in your wheelhouse.
Gotcha.
But we don't have a specific, like, oh, we're gonna go to this class, because typically that's where people come from.
Gotcha. And then what about culture overall, Air Force? I mean, you were active duty Air Force for 7 years before you went to the recruiting side of things. So what was that like?
I'm positive overall. I mean, nothing's perfect.
Yeah.
But you ask anybody, the Air Force treats you the best. We try to support you. We got a ton of support facilities on base, and I mean, we got anything you want on base, basically just like a small city. And all my supervisors have been great. We try to take care of each other. We actually had a specific day set aside called Comprehensive Airman Fitness Day, where you just get together and talk about helping each other out, mental health, suicide prevention, sexual assault prevention, that kind of thing, and then just do group activities the rest of the day.
Cool. Where were you stationed at?
So, funnily enough, I was, other than my training in San Antonio and then follow-on training in Texas, I've been at Army bases.
Have you really?
Yeah. So before this, I was at Fort Gordon down in Augusta, Georgia.
Okay.
And then even the language school was in an Army post.
Where was that at?
Out in Monterey, California.
Monterey's where all the linguists.
Yeah.
At least that was how it was when I went into. Not a bad place to be stationed.
No, not at all.
For
Not at all.
60, was it 60 weeks was your training?
64.
64 weeks. Yeah, this is good. So is Air Force contracts then based on your job, like what your minimum contract is? Do you guys still do 2-year contracts even?
It's just 4 and 6.
4 and 6. Okay.
Yeah.
I feel like when I was in the Army had 2-year contracts, but it was like very specific to scout and things like that, where you could go through OSET or basic and AIT in like 12, 14 weeks total.
Okay.
14 or 16 weeks total. But yeah, so 4 or 6 year contracts.
Yep.
What are some of the other benefits right now of being a soldier, like signing up right now when it comes to what's the GI Bill look like today? Is it called something different now?
No, it's so I'll hit on the education beat. You get tuition assistance while you're in, and the Air Force is actually the only branch out of all of them that has their own accredited community college. You get credits from basic training and job training
Towards that community college? Really?
Dang.
Yep. So it's typical where you'll get out of the Air Force with some kind of degree.
Yeah.
Associates. It's highly encouraged. And then, the GI Bill, like you said, $83,000.
Wow. I think when I was in, it was 45.
Yeah.
But a lot's changed. College has gotten a little bit more expensive.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yeah.
true. And then they did change. I don't know if it was the thing back then, but you had to use it within like 10 or 15 years after you got out. But now it's indefinite. You can use it.
Yeah, that was another
Another
thing.
one.
Mine passed. It was like 10 years, I think. And I never went back to school. Some of my buddies did a good job of going back to school. Me, once again, It's funny how things change but don't change. I was like, I
Yeah.
hated high school at 17. What makes you think at 22 I'm going to enjoy college? Like,
Right.
I just spent 4 years living on my own and enjoying myself. Like, I'm
Yeah.
good. What was the deployment aspect been like for you? I mean, there's a lot of things going on in the world today. Were you deployed often in the Air Force or at all?
So again, funny story. I've never been deployed. So 9 years, never deployed at all. So it is possible.
Sure.
Wow.
And some jobs like you want to deploy. I mean, deployments could be cool. You make all your money's tax free on deployments. You make bank on over there.
There's
so
nothing to spend it on typically.
I know,
other
yeah.
than
So
the
you just
PX.
build it up.
Yeah.
So there are certain career fields where you don't deploy as often as others. I almost deployed, or I wanted to go to Afghanistan, to Kabul, but that was right around the time COVID hit. So I was like, I'll sit back for a second, and then just haven't gone back since. And recruiters don't deploy, so I won't
Right.
deploy for another 2 years anyway.
What was the average? What was the kind of day to day for you in the Air Force? Like, what time was your morning starting? What time was it kind of finished for you at your regular station? Because it's probably crazy hectic now.
Yeah. It varied. That was nice about my last job is they kind of gave us options on when we wanted to come in and whatnot. Like, they were just like, hey, you can work 7 to 3, 8 to 4, 9 to 5 if you want to. But that was shop specific. I think I picked like 7 to 3. But yeah, just go in, and then we didn't really have a quota for translations. Just because you never know what you're gonna run into, so they can't mandate.
I was gonna say, what did you even do on a daily day basis? Like for us, it was. I mean, unless we were training in the field, like you're like servicing your machines and going. I mean, I don't even like. It's funny because people ask what I did during the day when we weren't deployed and stuff like that. I was like, I don't remember. We cleaned up oil spills in the motor pool, checked over vehicles, and smoked cigarettes. Like that's pretty much all I remember doing.
Right.
But what did you, as a linguist, what were your kind of job duties throughout the day?
I mean, we listened and read comms. Can't get into it too much.
Sure.
Yeah, I can understand that.
Because a lot of the intel career fields, linguist included, you go to work for the NSA while you're doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Dang.
That's kind of a great way to make networking and other connections, I'd say, for the future then.
And that's another thing, too. People say they want to be in law enforcement or work for a 3-letter agency. I'm just like, the Air Force is a good way to do that.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times if you like do 6 years and you work at the NSA and you get out, you can basically get rehired almost immediately as a civilian there.
Sure.
So
It's funny because as you're saying that, and for me, learning multiple languages would be like, it'd be tough. Like I like the amount of schooling and stuff that's required in the studying point. But do you have linguists in the Air Force that reclass every 3 or 4 years into a different language?
you can. You can retrain 13 months for it into the first one, and then there's another chance. So you could, and after recruiting, I could relang because my language went away. They don't use Pashto for military anymore because we're not involved in Afghanistan.
Sure.
But yeah, there's a ton of opportunities, and if they need people more in the one language, they could be like, hey, who wants to relang into this one?
Gotcha.
Type thing.
All right, so let's get back to the recruiting aspect of it. What's something that you didn't expect in the recruiting? We talked about day-to-day operations, but like when you heard I'm going to go be a recruiter, what was your? I mean, obviously it's like, oh God, I got selected for this, but what was some of the what's the word I'm looking for? Stereotypes as far as a recruiter. What are some of the things that you're like, I didn't expect that I'd have to do this, or I did have to do this?
That's a good question. I honestly didn't expect. Like, I have 9 schools I had to visit, so I don't know why I didn't expect. Yeah, 9 high schools. I didn't expect that many, and just the fast-paced natures of it. I guess I should have expected that, but.
Now, do you go to the high schools on a weekly basis or every few months?
Depending on basically how well they've done for us and how big the schools are. So certain schools like Brunswick, Medina, the Career Center, I have to go to every month at least. And then some of the other schools like Cloverleaf you mentioned, and let's see, I also have Buckeye I go to every other month. And then I also have Highland, Rittman, Black River, and Mapleton. And I go to them every quarter. Just because, they're smaller and,
Yeah, it makes sense. Although they're rural, so I feel like I look at
I
that,
know, that's-
and I would think that you'd get more recruits from a rural area rather than like a more affluent area like Medina.
Yeah. That is definitely something you gotta
Way in.
balance too. Yeah.
Do you have to go to colleges a lot?
Just in my area. So I've visited the Tri-C up in Brunswick, and then tried to visit the Akron one here in Medina. But both of those schools are mainly online too, so it's tough to get that.
Okay.
So each recruiter does have their own area they're responsible for, and you're not really supposed to,
Branch
go
out
in
of that.
somebody else's areas
Sure.
and steal their people.
Whoops.
So for you, when you go to a school, I mean, obviously that's something that you have to partner with the school on and how often you're going to go, I would presume. What does that look like as far as, hey, I'm gonna show up on this day, and they just like let you set your booth up at somewhere? And usually, I think ours was like in the entryway, like where the cafeteria and the hallways kind of combine.
Yeah.
Is that still what they kind of do?
Yeah, usually it's lunchroom setups if you're not in a classroom, so you just work with a guidance counselor. Just like usually, I just try to set up like, hey, can I come here every second Tuesday of this month?
Yeah.
And then we just set that at the beginning of the year. So
Do you work a lot with the guidance counselors on like, how can I be of assistance as far as like, when at one point do you start talking as the military as an option to students, whether it's, I mean, I don't even know, discipline issues, whether it's like poor grades, things like that. I feel like there's like things to look for that make for great soldiers. But
Yeah.
I don't. Do you have those conversations with guidance counselors? Do they
Oh, yeah.
set up individual meetings for you?
that's only happened once with me, so not as often with individual ones. But yeah, I mean, if they say somebody's interested, I'm more than happy to do that.
Sure. It's just it's funny because obviously, like if I say that I want to go attend Harvard, I feel like that guidance counselor spends a lot of time like helping me with my essay, things like that. But like if they say like, yeah, I'm gonna join the military, like they're like, okay, cool, next. Like, and I don't know if that's how it is or if they're like, oh, well, if you're interested, like let's have a meeting with the 3 or 4 recruiters in the area, or to see if they set that stuff up, because obviously every meeting that you guys attend is beneficial. Like you've got time in the day, if you got 30 minutes, like let's make it happen.
Oh yeah, there is something at the career center, since that place is only juniors and seniors, and that's primarily who we work with. They've done an ASVAB like results explanation, so they get everybody to take the ASVAB down in the cafeteria, and then they bring all the branches in, and then they just like, y'all can talk with whoever, they can explain the scores type thing. And
That's pretty great because and we're actually hoping to have somebody from the career center on, even multiple people from it, because we've brought that up in conversation a lot. I think the career center is probably it's changed so much from when I was in high school. Like I said, it used to be like the kids that were like all dressed in black, smoking cigarettes outside of the bus, waiting to go to the career center, and like, but now it's like, it's really there for career advancement, for somebody to get a head start after high school. But I'd imagine if somebody's ready to take that leap and say, I want to be a nurse, or I want to be a mechanic, or work in a body shop, like if they're willing to do that at 16, 17 years old when they go to the career center, they'd be a terrific fit for the military then in that point.
Yeah, the career center is super helpful. Patrick Shaughnessy is the person I work with, and I'm pretty sure they're actually a Purple Heart school too.
Okay.
So that's given to schools that are super helpful with military recruiting.
Yeah, that's awesome. Do you find that a lot of kids, because there's almost a job available in every branch of the military that's associated with some school trade that's being taught there?
Right.
Do you see a lot of people wanting to transition, or at least talking to you about like, if I want to do this, would this be a good fit, and things like that?
Yeah, I always get a lot of good interest from the career center. All the branches do, really.
Yeah.
Like I think last December alone, I had like 9 appointments from there.
Wow. So what is what are kind of some of your numbers? Are you allowed to share that, like what you're responsible for, maybe are you quarterly, monthly, yearly, fiscal year basis?
Well, all 3 really.
Okay. So they're always looking at all the numbers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it varies depending on the time of the year. Like in the wintertime, the goal is lower because, typically people aren't looking to join the military as much in the wintertime. And then in the summertime, they boost goal up. So like in the wintertime, usually a goal like 1 a month. And then right now it's typically like 2, maybe 3. But
Gotcha.
And then, so yeah, they look at monthly and then quarterly. And then obviously at the end of the year, they'd like you to be at least 100%.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
Is there like maybe a journey that you took somebody through that you like remember the most in the last 2 years? Like, you don't have to mention names, but like somebody you're like, this was just a process, and like I've seen him since, and it's like, whoa.
So I haven't seen this guy since because he's actually still in training, but I definitely have a story with that. There was somebody in July of 23, which was I got here in May of 23, and he came to my office, but he was one of those where I'm just like, hey man, you got to wait a year off of these meds. And he was disappointed at the time, but he stuck it through, and then he had to get a bunch of waivers for different things. So the whole process probably took a year and a half for him.
Wow.
But he ended up going special warfare, and he's in training right now. So
Wow, that's
super cool.
awesome.
Yeah, and he was older too. He was 35, or he is 35.
Yeah.
So I'm super
So he
happy
just
for
went
him.
in. So went in at 35 years old. So you mentioned that the age limit now is 42. You said.
Mhm.
I got like 30 days if I want to sign up to go back in.
Dude, I dare you to go back.
I mean, I talk to my wife about it all the time. For those that are out there listening and you ever wonder if the military's for you, like imagine college times 10. It's so much better. You know, I didn't attend college. I'm just assuming. But like, it's funny because people have all these misconceptions of the military. You know, like, oh, I don't need somebody telling me what to do every day. Well, you have that at every job that you're
Right,
going to do.
right.
Yes.
But you don't realize, I don't know.
Which
It's
is
like there's
the
like
people.
this.
The people are.
Yeah, we talk about this. So there's nothing compared to the camaraderie. you
Yeah.
build,
Oh,
like
yeah.
you
The brotherhood.
mentioned.
For sure.
You know, and the other thing of it too is you just learn so much like common sense stuff.
Yes.
Just life
Right.
experience stuff too.
Yeah.
Yes, very much so.
A lot of it too is like the opportunity to figure things out on your own. It doesn't have to be. You don't have to have the exact same. Obviously, there's always a process, right, for everything. Like whether it's the way you take apart your rifle or the way that you do certain thing, but like being able to come up with other ways to do it isn't like shunned upon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I had a great experience. I think that, and frankly, I don't know where I would have been without it. I picked up so many of the traits that make me who I am today. If I would have just went to college, who knows,
Yeah.
right? I wasn't a great student. I was a 2. I think I was 1.98 GPA. It was like a C average or C minus average. I did really well on tests. I didn't take homework home after like my sophomore year. I just hated schoolwork.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
And it was just like I tell people, if you're a C student and like the testing is really easy, but you just don't like doing homework and taking books home, like join the military. Like college isn't for you.
Right. That's another thing. Like people say they want to do college. I'm like, all right, what's your GPA right now? Like, oh, 2.0. Just like, bro, what are we talking about?
Yeah, right. Like, I mean, the other thing is because my daughter, she's 16, she wants to go to college, and I'm like, I love her to death, and I'll support her in anything that she wants to do. I was like, but college is hard work. Like, if you don't like, you know, doing the extra things, you don't like telling your friends that you can't go out because you have to study or because you have to do this. Like, imagine that times like every day of the week. Like, and then you don't want to do the reading. You want to like just skip it and like hopefully you can get through on the test. No, like you're probably gonna have to write like a 7-page paper on it or something like that. And it's like college isn't for the weak-hearted. So like for those that go through, graduate college, like I give them all the credit in the world. But for the majority of those people out there, like the military is going to give them a much bigger return on their investment. One, it's
100%.
free. Two, it's a paying job, room and board right off the rip. And you know, it's just you get the same experience as far as like the dorm rooms versus the barracks. I mean, you know, you meet way more people in the barracks because everybody's on a Friday night is out there. The music's blaring throughout the building, you know, and
and even then, like something else I tell people, just like college is a 4-year commitment too. So same with the military. It's just you're going to have experience if you get out after 4 years versus just having that degree. So.
What do you think is the biggest fear of guys that come up to you or women that come up to you as far as the military or that you approach? Like, oh, Air Force, that's not for me. Like, what do you think that fear is?
I mean, honestly, I'd say a lot of people just don't think they can make it through basic training, or they don't want to go and get shot at and die, which, you know, valid concern.
Absolutely.
But like I said, basic training isn't that hard, and it's only 7.5 weeks out of your life. So you just push through it; it'll set you up for the rest of your life. It's a very short time in retrospect. And then another thing, like being shot at, like obviously everyone's concerned about that. But just with like Air Force and Space Force, I always tell people we're more support branches, so more air support. We don't really have combat jobs unless you wanted to do more special warfare. So that's a good way, like I distinguish us versus like the other branches.
Sure. And everybody, I mean, every branch, and hopefully we'll have the Marines and Army on too. They can talk about their aspect, but every branch has, you know, support areas. Obviously, you can still find yourself deployed. You can still be in a combat zone and stuff can still happen. But you can definitely kind of build a career based off of a trajectory that you want to avoid that if you if that's what is something that you're afraid of.
Yeah.
What do you ever hear, like, I don't want to say wear the same uniform every day?
Oh no, I've never heard that.
I'm just curious. Like, I feel like the idea of being in a uniform every day today would be like just so scary to kids, and it's like just because like they have their own individual styles, and to me it's like I wish I could go back to like knowing what I had to wear every day. Like, I didn't have to worry about style until it was Friday night and I was going out with all my buddies, like
we try to make it as easy as possible. Like, don't even have to think about what you're wearing.
yeah, right. So when it comes to recruiting now, how difficult has and I don't want to get into politics specifically and things like that, but I do want to talk about like how polarized they've become in this country really over the last 5, 6, 7 years. How does that pertain to recruiting? Meaning, like, you just share your experiences with it.
I mean, like you said, it is politicized, and most of the people have been nice to me about it. But there are some like, oh, well, I wouldn't let my kid join during this time because of the views of this president or that one.
That's what I was getting at. I was like, do you hear like parents more having that argument?
Because a lot more parents than kids too. But I mean, it is different. I would say that. Recruiting has been better under the current president versus the last one, honestly.
Really?
Because I mean, the Air Force has already met their goal for the year. Like we did that back in June, and I don't think we did that previously. So.
What do you think? Do you think that's just because? I don't know. Maybe it's like the fear of going. I mean, obviously, it's not like we're hands off in all these different wars and arguments that are going on right now, but do you think it's because we don't think that we'll deploy troops under one president versus the other? Maybe.
Yeah,
I'm just curious, like what leads to that increase or decrease.
It is an interesting question. Like, not sure entirely.
Yeah,
but it's just what I've seen out there versus what it was like last year too.
So for those guys that are out there that are high school kids, does anybody realize that there's like 16 and 17-year-old high school kids with a lot more tattoos than I remember?
Oh, yeah.
I don't remember kids having tattoos in high school. And I'm like, I see kids all the time that are like 16. Like my daughter's does competitive cheer, and I've seen like girls on her competitive cheer team that have tattoos. And I'm like, how is this possible? You guys aren't even out of high school yet.
You got to understand, parents are a lot more lenient these days.
A
lot more lenient.
Do you see that more? Like, is there things that are, because individuality, I think, has become a big part of this generation too. Like, so when you're talking about Air Force, do you have issues with like people getting in because of not willing to cut their hair or tattoos or different things like that? Or does it become more lenient on the military side?
No, the hair thing, that always surprises me when somebody's just like, I don't want to join because I don't want to cut my hair. I'm just like, are you kidding me? That's what's going to hold you up. But, to each their own. But as far as tattoos go, our policy is if it's not gang related or like discriminatory, and we don't care what it is. And also, we'd really like it if you didn't have it on your hands or anywhere like shoulder up. There are some exceptions, but it just makes it easier on everybody if you don't have that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's what it was for us too. Like, as long as your BDUs, we're going to cover it. Yeah. But it's just over the last years, like piercings, tattoos, things like that, hair has just become so much more like different. I guess you would say, but
and then obviously you can't have like neon colored hair. It has to be, it has to be normal.
Yep.
Oh man. What else was I going to ask? So do you see yourself, I mean, now that you've done it for 2 years, and you're probably getting pretty good at it, do you see yourself wanting to do it longer than that? Is that even an option for you?
It's an option. We have different tiers to recruiting. The first one is the enlisted, and then there's also tier 2, which is like you could go be a liaison up at MEPS or do like training for your squadron, that kind of thing. Then tier 3 is like being a flight chief, so being in charge of recruiters, that kind of thing. So you can stay in it. Not sure if I want to right now, but if I did, I'd probably want to just go and like work up at MEPS.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good way to look at it. And I guess we'll kind of end with this aspect of the process. So after somebody's joined, they've gotten through kind of your initial aspect, and MEPS is kind of the last step, right? Where do you see MEPS now versus, when you joined? Has it gotten more strict? Obviously, there's like a shared data thing now with hospital records in the military versus private sector that wasn't there when I was in.
Right.
So like, when they say, don't mention this, or
It's a lot harder
they're
to get
gonna
away
they're
with
gonna
that
find
stuff
out.
now. Yeah.
But do you see a lot of soldiers getting kicked back at that aspect at MEPS anymore? Or?
I mean, like I said, waivers are still super common. So it's not a surprise at all when that happens. And it's at that point, it's just the MEPS doctor's not feeling comfortable to clear it, so they send it up to the Surgeon General to approve or not. But as far as being strict, I don't really think it's that much different. It's probably gotten a little easier. But talking with other recruiters, the Surgeon General approval timeline has shrunk considerably. Used to have to wait like 6 or 7 months for them to come back, but now it's like 2 or 3 weeks.
Really? To get an approval on somebody like on a waiver process or something of that nature?
Yeah. So that's super nice. I love that.
Absolutely. Let's say that I'm a young kid and I sign up and then I change my mind. Does that happen?
Change your mind when?
Well, that's what I meant. When am I allowed to change my mind up until? This was always the thing. Like I remember having those conversations with other soldiers. Like you could always just change your mind at the end, but you only have until this time or whatever. What is that?
So there's 2 different swear-ins that we have. One is swearing into the delayed entry program, which is just you waiting to book a job whenever the job list comes out that month, and then waiting for that job to ship. Because every job we get has a ship day attached to it. It's typically 2 to 3 months later.
Okay.
And then up until your ship day when you swear in, you could technically back out. Now, your recruiter's going to get upset if you backed out like the night before.
Yeah.
Because obviously that
looks bad on him.
Yeah, it looks bad on us. Plus, it's just a waste of time for everybody. Just like you went through the whole process and you're just going to like, waste the last few months type thing. But yeah, until you swear in on ship day.
So on ship day, are they going to they meet you at the office and swearing in, or are they doing that at MEPS?
No, they'll do that at MEPS.
Okay, so because I remember the MEPS was like 2 days. You go up the night before or something, get a hotel. You go up there, you go through the whole process, and then I think we shipped, or then we swore in at the end of the MEPS day. Is that right, or is it something like that?
So the way we do it is, send it up to the hotel the night before, and then that's all they do, really. They have a few briefs, but then they swear in pretty early, maybe around 10 or 11 o'clock.
Okay.
And then
that's at the point where you're in now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. We always say, like, technically you're not in until that point, but we don't want you to go to MEPS and go through all that stuff without being committed to that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. It's funny because I don't even remember. I know that there was I spent like 3 weeks at, I can't remember what it's called when, the basic. Somehow something got delayed forever, and I can't remember what point it was. It was either before basic, like my basic got delayed multiple times, or I can't remember. But I got stuck somewhere and hold like in a HQ or something like that. But you mentioned like the job list come out. So if the job list comes out next month, and I've already gone through the initial process, how far in advance are you getting a ship noticed, I guess, is what I'm looking at.
So, like, for example, we've already gotten the job list for August, and they're booking jobs on Friday. So what I do is, like, tomorrow I'm going to send all my people that are already qualified, like, hey, here's this month's job list. Order your list how you want to, like, rearrange it if you have to, because I've already had them list their jobs. And then beginning of the next month, so it's September 1st, is when I let them know what job they got.
And then they'd find out how soon they ship when?
Whenever I let them know about the job. Because like I said, the job has a ship day attached to it.
Oh, so if I say, like, let's say it's a medical or mechanic and you get the ship list.
You'll know what day you're shipping off with that.
Right. And it could be 6 months later, 2 months later.
Typically it's 2 to 3 months. Like the jobs for this list, I think, are mainly in November at this point.
Okay.
For August anyway.
Yeah, it's funny because I think and I'm assuming, is your basic and training, it's not done at the same location, right? Because you went to Monterey for your training post.
That was for job training. Yeah, all basic training's in San Antonio.
It's all in San Antonio, one location, so you know where you're going to go. Because for us, and I don't, it's like I said, it's been 25 years, it's probably changed, but like for me, it was signed up in September on my 17th birthday, and then I knew like immediately, like June 20th was supposed to be my basic time and that's when I left, June 19th for basic or whatever. But like, so that date didn't change.
Yeah. Yeah, that's not going to change. And speaking of that, that brings me to another point. So for juniors, they can sign up and be a part of a separate job list through the end of the fiscal year, so into September. And if they book a job, then they'll know they're leaving for basic training in like July of the next year.
Gotcha.
So they could do that theoretically and already know that.
Mm-hmm. And then I know it's not part of your aspect, but you guys do still do the, where you can do like basic. Is it basic after your junior year and then after your senior year, after you graduate? I can't remember what that was called. You mentioned it earlier, I think.
So I know that's a thing for ROTC. You go to like officer candidate school between junior and senior year of college.
Okay.
But I'm not sure if Guard or Reserve does that. I don't think they do because I'm pretty sure I remember Guard and Reserve being in my basic training.
Mm-hmm.
So for Air Force anyway, I think it's after you graduate.
Gotcha.
I can't speak for Army though.
And then, oh my gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I hate when that happens. Yeah, that's why the deadlines. Damn it, can't join the Air Force tomorrow. Well, I guess you mentioned that guy who was 35 years old. Is that the oldest person that you've had join?
Yep. It's funny. Like I remember in my basic training, we had a guy that everybody called Dad, and he was only 27.
I mean, you're right. I was 17 when I went. Like, I don't remember anybody being. I don't remember the oldest person. Oh, you know what I did want to go into. So, if I have any aspirations of the military, as young as 15, right? Because there's still a lot of people that are out there where their fathers or grandparents were in the military, and they kind of already know that's the path they want to go in.
Yep.
I know you guys aren't allowed to talk to them yet, but what are some things that they can do to improve their ranking before they go in?
Ooh, that's a good question. So there's a few different things. So if you have at least 20 college credits, like they can take college courses in high school, that will get you a rank up. If you were in JRTC, like we talked about, if you got like an Eagle Scout in Boy Scouts or Girl Scouts, Civil Air Patrol, Sea Cadet program, that kind of thing.
Eagle Scouts. So what do they have to accomplish in Eagle Scouts in order to get an increase in rank? Is it just be in it or
Just be an Eagle Scout.
really?
Yep.
Oh, that's I'm done. I'm done.
You're an Eagle Scout? So I don't even know what Eagle. Same thing with Boy Scout, right? You just had to be one, and that increased your rank, or did you
Well,
have to like complete like a
You want to
certification
talk on
level?
that?
No, I'm good on that.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, for boy, I was on Eagle Scouts and I was on Boy Scouts. For Boy Scouts, the last badge I got was the Arrow of Light. That was the last badge I got. So
Yeah.
and that was the one you graduated.
But to be
with.
an Eagle Scout, like, what did you like? You have to be like certified as an Eagle
Yeah,
Scout.
you had to do like a certain special project or something extra to be an Eagle Scout.
Oh, is that going from Boy Scouts to Eagle Scout? I don't even know what the process is for that. I'm so uneducated on.
I'm not
Boy
entirely
Scouts.
sure either. It's just it's a special kind of Boy Scout.
Gotcha.
It's when you get all your badges and then you go up a little bit higher and you just do your tasks are a lot more demanding.
Gotcha.
That's all about it. And you gotta get you have to get like signed saying you did all this stuff ahead and
that officially, like, you're like knighted as an Eagle
that's
Scout.
that's what practically you are. You get it it's like literally a certification. Literally.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So that increases your rank. You mentioned Civil Air Patrol. That's something that can increase your rank.
Yeah, and then there's one other thing. So if you refer at least 2 people to me that make it through in DEPN, you get a rank up, and then
Whoa.
if you refer 5, you get another rank up.
Okay.
Ooh.
So it's an incentive for them and us recruiters.
Yeah, absolutely. All right,
sick.
so let's so what's the highest rank you can go in? Is E3 still is the
E3,
max? Okay. I mean, it's still a great rank to go in, and it was like an
Yeah.
extra $300 a month.
And also, so if you pick the 6-year contract, you also get E3 a lot faster than you would with a 4.
How does that work?
So if you pick or 6-year contract, you'll get promoted to E3 after either 20 weeks or at the end of job training, whichever comes first. And then
20 weeks in total?
Yep.
You'd
And
be at E3 within like literally 3 months of joining the military? 4 months?
versus like the year that it would take with a 4-year contract if you came in as an E1.
Right, and assuming you didn't do anything above and beyond to get that rank higher, right? Because obviously there's that's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, it's incentivized,
Yep.
but 6 years is a long commitment at 17
is.
years old, 18 years old, in order to get that. So you could do the other things to try and get that rank up a little bit higher.
Yep. Obviously, I would prefer the referrals. But
Send him his way. Send him his way.
Yeah, I mean, why not, right? Like everything that you can do I tell other people all the time, if I would have known of the different things I could have done in order to get a higher rank, like why wouldn't I?
Yeah.
I still progress. Like there wasn't a progression difference between 4-year, 6-year contracts or anything like that. But there's definitely and I was even having a small holdback in my reception before getting to my unit. I was still fortunate enough to get promoted pretty quickly.
Oh, nice.
So after training and things like that, and you get to your unit duty station, you could be stationed really anywhere. Do you guys still do is choice of duty station still a thing?
Yeah. So with the job list, we have you list 8 that you're willing to do, and we'll only pick from those 8. Like we'll suggest others if they come up, but you'll get one of those 8. Now on the base preference list, we call that a dream sheet, and we call it dream sheet for a reason. And that's 8 to 10 places, and the Air Force, just like with the jobs, we'll try to match you up with where you want to go and what you want to be. But at the end of the day, with the base locations, it's where they need you.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, other jobs or certain jobs have more locations than others. Like linguist, I only had 2 to pick from.
Really?
Yeah, either Fort Gordon in Georgia or Fort Meade up in Maryland.
Okay.
But like security forces, you can go anywhere.
Yeah, you'd be literally anywhere.
Yep.
Makes sense. Same thing with mechanic. Depending on the type of mechanic you are.
Yeah.
If you're working vehicles, you're working on planes or helicopters and things like that. I'm sure that probably narrows it down as far as being an Air Force base versus an Army base or
And
something
then,
of that nature.
yeah, like I said, you could still end up on Army bases too.
Yeah, hopefully you don't get Fort Riley, Kansas. Well, hey, I appreciate it. Is there other things out there that is there other information you want to get out there that you can think of that's kind of valuable? We've talked about kind of getting early promoted. We talked about what are some things that they need to do initially to make sure that they can qualify to join. We've talked about some of the things you can get waivers on. We've talked about physical standards. I think we've talked a little bit about the entire process throughout there. Yeah, I mean, is there anything else that you think is imperative that we share?
I would say my biggest thing is like if you're interested, go ahead and talk with a recruiter. Don't wait until after you graduate and then decide, because like I said, there could be something that could make you wait even longer, or especially for like right now with the upcoming seniors, they only have to list 5 jobs versus the 8, and they're
really?
on a completely separate list. So you have a much better shot at getting your top job if you went through the process and booked a job by the end of September.
So if I wanted the cushiest job in the Air Force, what would it be?
Oh man, that's. I mean, they're all good jobs. Intel jobs are nice. I was in Intel and I liked it.
Yeah.
I guess it's based on personality too, like what
Sure.
you like. Like some guys just absolutely do not want an office job, but I feel like I'm more suited for an office job than mechanics. So
It's funny because now at 42, like I would have probably done my military a little bit differently. But once again, we talk about like how much your mind changes from being younger to as you grow up, and it's like, man, there's so many cool jobs in the military that you don't even think exist. Like people think it's obviously like you're infantry or you're a scout or you're a tanker in the Army or or you're, but like now there's just so much stuff that you can get into. You get if you want to study law and be an attorney, you can get into JAG or you can get into some aspects of that.
and like there's different aspects of jobs that you wouldn't even thought of. Like with security forces, you can do so many things with that. You could be a cannon handler, and something that maybe people don't know. Any job once you hit E5, you can go and work with OSI, so Office of Special Investigations. So like in the Air Force version, like NCIS or something like that.
Right.
And then you can be firefighter, you can be computer programmer. I just put one of those in last month. So yeah, there's a bunch of different options out there.
Well, and the other aspect too is, you could spend 4 years trying to get a degree into one of these fields and change your mind a dozen times or get a very generic degree. But a 4 years or 6 year military stint in a specific job training, one, not only tells them that you're willing to do the work and commit to that contract and complete it, which is what most jobs want out of that degree. But 2, you've got so much field experience, and in abundance to that, you can then add in like every day I didn't go do the exact same thing. Like I did this in a desert. I did this in a nice air conditioned office, like, and everywhere in between. And sometimes this guy wasn't there, so I had to learn how to do this, or I had to learn how to do that. Like, and then obviously you get the leadership experience too, right? So you're a staff sergeant now, and you've been in 9 years. When did you get your E5? Do you remember?
October of 21.
Okay, so about 4 years after being in.
Yeah, and then even right now, I could go officer if I wanted to. It's just something I've been weighing on. So a lot of times, if people want to go officer too, probably the best way would be to enlist first, because you got to think Air Force wants to pick from within before they go and pick civilians. Like I think there's a percentage of 86% of enlisted get accepted for officer, where only 14% of civilians get accepted.
Really?
Yeah.
Because I remember that was big. Like if you graduated college and you joined the Army, then you can go in as a lieutenant. Like it was like the way they tried to recruit you. And then obviously we had green to gold, which was the enlisted to officer school.
Yep.
But now is there if that would be the last thing we'll focus on here. Like, so obviously you're responsible for this area, and you're responsible for enlisted. But what if somebody goes to college and graduates and still lives in this area? Is there still are you still approaching them, or is that still an option? Can they go in as an officer after college graduation?
Yeah, they still can.
So are you still reaching out to those students? And if so, how do you kind of reach out to them? Because it's probably hard to tell who's graduating, who's not, and the college aspect.
So yeah, I'll still approach them if they have a college degree and they don't want to enlist. I'll refer them to the officer. Like I have the officer recruiter's number. I can give it to them, no problem. Obviously, I'll try to give my pitch for enlisted, but you know, it's no problem.
Oh, so they separate you enlisted versus officer enlisting, or commissionable. Yeah. But they separate those two things as well.
And a lot of things too, like officers are really looking for STEM degrees. So if you have like a liberal arts degree or some other degree, and also GPA plays into account. So if you had like English and you had a 2.5 GPA and you try to go officer, might not be as enticing for them to work with you versus like someone in engineering that has a 4.0.
Makes sense.
So yeah.
Awesome. Evan, you got any other questions?
No. It was interesting to listen to.
Yeah, a lot goes into it, I imagine.
It was very interesting.
And it's like there's so many things with today's youth that's changed where it's probably, I mean, recruiting's always been tough, right? Even like when I went through, like there's always things you look for, and people would bail at the last minute, or recruiters would talk about like, how serious are you? And having somebody still leave, or then getting there and finding out about a medical condition that the kids didn't even know. I mean, I had stories of people finding out stuff they didn't even know was an issue until they got to MEPS. But yeah, and so I appreciate you coming on, sharing some of this information.
No problem. I appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and I'll put links to the description below. But if somebody wants to get a hold of you, what's the best way to do that?
So just give me a call.
Yeah.
You want me to say my phone number? Or
I'll put a link. It's on your Instagram page, I assume.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, people can be listening from all over, but you're here in Medina County. Do you cover the entire county or Medina primarily?
The whole county.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. So we'll put a link down below. So if anybody stayed this long and listened to all of this, and you have some additional questions for Sergeant Hamblin, you want to hear about the military in any sense, please don't hesitate to reach out to him and get that information up close. But you heard, I mean, even if there's a slight inclination that you don't know what you want to do after college, or after high school, I should say, and even if you want to attend college, like you start looking at the military now. It's a great solution, and it's a great way to get you started. We talked about it. A lot of my 20s, I wish I would have got out and traveled the world. It's a great way to do that. A great way to go to a new spot and show that you can kind of do it on your own. You can always go to college, whether you can go college while you're in the military, not even have to wait till you get out. So make sure you do your research. And like I second it, the military is a great aspect for a 17-year-old to really get a head start on life, similar to the Career Center. All right, well, thank you so much again, and good night, everybody. Have a good night.